And I also hope that you are having an amazing day so far. All right, so for today, we will be doing our grade 2 English lesson, and we're going to do our grade 2 English lesson on possessive nouns. So we're going to be doing our grade 2 English lesson on possessive nouns. And before we start with possessive nouns, you're going to log in to aplusstudents.ca. So we're going to log into aplusstudents.ca, and we're going to log in with our username as well as our password. All right, so once we've logged in with our user as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of language arts. And then grade 2. So once we've selected our subject of language arts, grade 2, now we're going to scroll down up until we get to possessive nouns. So we're going to click on the subject of possessive nouns. And once we are within the chapter of possessive nouns, so once we're in the chapter of possessive nouns, and then we are going to, our focus lessons are going to be, so we are going to do the chapter of possessive nouns, and the lessons are going to be to identify plurals, singular possessives, and plural possessives, and to also form the singular and plural possessives. So our chapter that we are focusing on today is possessive nouns. And the lessons are to identify plurals, singular possessives, and plural possessives, and to form the singular and plural possessives. And we are going to work on the aplusstudents.ca tutorial page. So we are only going to be working from the aplusstudents.ca tutorial pages. Right, so whatever we do not finish, you can always just go back to aplusstudents.ca and you will be able to either follow up, or you can basically just go back and refresh based on what we did. All right, so possessive nouns, right? Possessive nouns, it is a person, place, or thing that shows ownership of something or that has something. So possessive nouns, it's a person, place, or thing that shows ownership of something or it has something. So that is possessive nouns, right? So with possessive nouns, there's a few examples that we can make when it comes to possessive nouns. So with possessive nouns, it's almost like there's another word that I usually think of, and it comes with possession, right? It's almost like it is mine, it is yours, it is theirs, right? So that shows possession because it shows either ownership of something or it shows ownership of someone or something that belongs to someone. For example, the boy's coat, right? So the coat belongs to the boy. So which means that it is the boy's coat. And then we have Joe's car. So whose car is it? It is Joe's car, meaning that it belongs to Joe. So that is the possessive noun. Mr. Roberts's house. So Mr. Roberts's house, right? Which means that Mr. Roberts is the owner of the house. He owns it. And in the children's breakfast, the children's breakfast, right? And it's something that the children have. So when we use words like, for example, the boys' coats, Joe's car, Mr. Roberts, the children's, right? We call those possessive nouns. We call it possessive nouns. So if you do not add the apostrophe to a word, and then we will just assume that it is a plural, or it's the plural form of that word. Because if you just add an S without the apostrophe, then we can basically assume that you are making it's almost like you're making that word to be more than just the singular form of that word. But to show possessive or to show possession, we need to put the apostrophe and then the S. So now, a few more examples when it comes to forming possessive nouns, right? So when it comes to forming possessive nouns, we have singular nouns and we have plural nouns. So we have singular nouns and we have plural nouns. And with the singular nouns, right, we're referring to either one person, we're referring to one place, or we're referring to one thing, right? So now we need to refer to either one person, place, or thing that shows a possession or that basically shows possessiveness, if that is the word, possessive, right? For example, dog's house, right? Meaning that it is the house of the dog, dog's house. And that is singular because it is basically showing that this is the house of the dog, one dog. But in order to show that it belongs to the dog, right, we didn't say it is dog's house. Apostrophe and then the S. But once you, for example, say dogs, so once you say dogs, let me write it over there. Oh, sorry. All right. So basically, dog's house, right? Apostrophe S. This shows possessive, right? Especially with the apostrophe. But as soon as you say dog's house without the apostrophe, and then we will assume that it is just a plural noun. So we will just assume that it is just a plural because by adding the S to a singular word, it basically makes it more than, or it shows that it is more than. So dog's house. So if you want to either show ownership of something or to show that someone or something has something, then you need to put the apostrophe and then the S. That is when it comes to a singular form. Then we have girls' the girls' dolls. So the girls' dolls. So the same with the girls' dolls, right? We put the word girls apostrophe s, cause it is a singular form. And then sister's room, meaning it is my sister's room. And we put also sister apostrophe s room, right? So can you, grade twos, can you think of any other singular nouns, right? For example, where either a person, place, or thing shows ownership of something, or where it shows that they have something. So can you think of any other examples of singular nouns that shows possessiveness? For example, and here are the examples: Jim's pen, my mom's bag. So if you know of any other examples of possessive nouns, and then you can write it in our chat box. Then we have plural nouns, right? So we're going on to our plural nouns. Remember, when it comes to singular nouns, form and forming possessive, right? You need to show it either in a form of a sentence or form of 2, 3 words with the apostrophe, and that shows possessiveness. Once the apostrophe and the s is there, then it shows ownership. What is something that you own? For example, you can maybe say Jade's. If you're referring to yourself as Jade, then you can maybe say Jade's Xbox, right? Or Jade's bedroom, or Simon's dolls, or Simon's cars, right? So, what is something that you own, right? Because when it comes to possessiveness, it's something that you own. You take ownership of that something. So we mentioned singular nouns, right? So now we're going on to plural nouns. And with plural nouns, right? Remember we said that if you were just going to put an S, if you're just going to put an S without the apostrophe, we will just assume that it is a plural noun, right? So we will assume that it is a plural noun because you're just putting an S instead of the apostrophe S or the apostrophe thereafter. So if the noun ends in S, if the noun, the plural noun ends in S, and then we are just going to put the apostrophe at the end of that word, only the apostrophe. So you're not going to put apostrophe and S, no, because it's already S. So you're just going to put the apostrophe at the end of that word. And here we also have a few examples of boys' ball. So boys, right? If we were just to put the S without the apostrophe S, and then we would assume that it's a plural form, right? But we need to say the boys' ball. And as you can see, there we have the word boys, and then we have the apostrophe outside, because that shows position. So if a plural noun ends with an S, and then we just put a apostrophe at the end of that word. So boys' ball. Then also, if the noun doesn't end in an S, right? So now we are still talking on the ownership of something as well as, let's basically say, the owns something or that has something, right? So if the noun doesn't end in S, so even though it's a plural noun, but if the noun does not end in S, and then we are going to put the apostrophe and then the S. So we only put the apostrophe at the end of the sentence when when it is when it is a plural form, right? And remember, in order to show possessive, or in order to show possessives, you need to put the apostrophe also. If there's no apostrophe, then we will just assume that it is a plural and it is not possessive. All right. So now we're going to our. All right. Let us go to our back to our tutorial page on a+students.ca. So we are going to identify plurals, singular possessives, and plural possessives. So we're going to go into our first lesson when we identify plurals, singular possessives, and plural possessives. So a singular possessive noun, right? Remember we see that with a singular possessive noun, you need to put an apostrophe S. Either shows that you have something, ownership of something, right? So that is a singular possessive noun. And a possessive noun shows who or what owns something or has something. So a possessive noun shows who or what owns something or has something. And we see that when a noun is singular, so when a noun is singular, we then add the apostrophe and then the S, like in the bracket. So we add the apostrophe, then the S, to form the singular possessive nouns. So we basically put the apostrophe and then the S when a noun is singular. And in order for us to then form one, remember we said that when the apostrophe is there, then it means that you're either forming a plural possessive noun or you are forming a singular possessive noun. So now when it comes to plural, right? When a noun is plural and it ends in S, right? So when the noun ends in S, then we are just going to add that same consonant and apply the apostrophe at the end. So when a noun is plural, and ends in S, just add an apostrophe. So we're going to add the apostrophe at the end of that specific word to form the plural possessive nouns. So in the meantime, can you think of any other singular possessive nouns or plural possessive nouns where something or someone owns something or has something? So when it comes to plural possessive nouns, then we have the boys on the one side. We add our plural word. We want to show ownership, but you need a letter, right? Sorry. So we need to put the apostrophe, not the letter. We need to put the apostrophe, right? We put the apostrophe at the end of that specific word. So if we put the plural, let's say if we write the plural form of that possessive noun, sorry, and then we are going to have to, you write the word, right? Like, for example, the boys. It refers to more than one. So it is plural form. So boys, right? And now we want to make mention that the boys are going on a camp. And then we say the boys' camp. And there we have the apostrophe. And also where the apostrophe is. It is at the end of that noun. And it's also outside. It is not, for example, before an S, nothing. It is at the end of that word. But now, on the other hand, if we only, for example, write certain words, right, and we just add an S with no apostrophe, remember I said that that is plural form. So it will show a plural form, but it will not show possession or possessive. So if we have a singular possessive noun, a pronoun or noun, sorry, and then we add the apostrophe and the S to a word or name, and if we show the plural possessive nouns, and then we will, for example, say, as you can see, the boys, right, or the schools is on the left. But now if we either show ownership, we show something that someone has, now we put the apostrophe. And we put the apostrophe outside at the end of that word. Once again, can you think of any other possessive nouns? Any other? Whether you made banknotes and now you are showing ownership of that, whether you own a doll and you want to show that it is my doll, right? If you have or can think of any other either singular possessive nouns or plural possessive nouns, then you can write it in the chat box. All right. So once we mentioned about the possessive nouns that shows ownership, right? That shows ownership. And remember, we said that we need to put an apostrophe and then the S, not just the S, right? So we put the apostrophe and we put the S. So now, if we look at they're saying, what is the word in bold? Write the word in bold. So the word in bold is gloves. So they're saying Vicky can't find her gloves. So if Vicky can't find her gloves, does it mean it is plural noun, singular possessive, or plural possessive? So in this case, it is just Vicky can't find her gloves, which means that this is a plural noun. So this is plural. All right. What is the word in bold? What is the word in bold, right? And why is, for example, why is your neighbor's radio always on? So the neighbor's, right? And since the apostrophe is after neighbors and the apostrophe is before the s, then we will say this is going to be a singular. It is a singular possessive noun. All right. So now let's go to our test. If we go to the test, right, it is what is the word in bold? We need to say what the word is in bold. We rode our bicycles to the park. You need to say if the word is either plural or if the word is a singular possessive noun. So if the word is plural or if the word is a singular possessive noun. And the word is bicycles. Bicycles. So bicycles is the plural noun or a singular possessive noun. And in this case, bicycles is a plural noun. Remember, we said that if there is only an S at the end of the word with no apostrophe, and then it shows plural, it does not show possessive. So bicycles is correct. Clara painted the fairy's wings yellow. Is this now a plural possessive noun or a plural noun? Fairies. The fairies is yellow, wings yellow. So we need to say if it is a plural possessive noun or if it is a plural noun. All right, so Clara painted the fairies' wings yellow. We can say it is a plural possessive noun. And that is correct. And then the boys splash in puddles after it rains. So puddles is a plural noun or a plural possessive noun. And puddles, no apostrophe, we can say it is a plural noun. All right. So now we're going to form the singular as well as the plural possessive. We are going to form it. And when we form the singular and plural possessive, when we form the singular and plural possessive, right, it says that we need to type the possessive form of the given noun. That donkey's legs. So donkey is the word given. We need to write the possessive form. So donkey. So then we can say the donkey's legs. And donkey with an apostrophe and S. Right? So donkey with the apostrophe and an S. So that donkey's legs. All right, so the donkey's legs. The idea, yes, is the hunter idea. So we need to change hunter into a possessive form. So the hunter, then we can say the hunter's idea. So we say the hunter's idea. So we can say the hunter's idea, the hunter's idea. Guys, if you can think of any other possessives, right, you may write it in the chat box or even answer a few questions. The cover, right? So if it's the cover of the chair's cover, right? And then we're going to say the chair's cover. Chairs. So the chair's cover. And the apostrophe, R apostrophe S, it shows possessive. Chairs. So the chair's cover. Which means that covers are being put on all of the chairs, but we are removing the covers and we cleaning the covers. But now putting names on the chairs. Remember, if you just add an S to the word chairs without the apostrophe, then it's the same as saying it's a plural form. It's a plural, it's a singular or plural form. Yeah, it's a plural form because you're just adding an S to it, right? All right. We are going to our test where we need to form the singular or plural possessives. So we need to type the possessive form of the given noun. Our flag colors or our flag's colors. The possessive nouns, either singular possessive or plural possessive. Our colors. Is it our flag colors or flags color? So our flag colors or our flags colors. And in this case, we can say it is our flag's color because it shows possessiveness. All right. Because remember the apostrophe there, it shows that it is possessive. The table edge or the table's edge. So the table edge or the table's edge. All right. So we can then say it is the table's edge. All right. And then his wife name or his wife's name. So his wife name or his wife's name. So we can then say his wife's name. Apostrophe and is. Mm-mm-mm. The hunter idea or the hunter's idea? Who came up with the idea? So we can say it is the hunter's idea. All right. All right. So that is basically our lesson on identifying plurals and singular possessives and plural possessives and to form the singular and or plural possessives. Now back to our whiteboard we go. All right, so we're gonna have to put an apostrophe and an S after the noun, right? So the car belongs to my mother. So if the car belongs to my mother, so grade two is if the car belongs to my mother, right? Then it is whose car? The dog belongs to Tony. It is Tony's dog. On the dog belongs to Tony. It is Tony's dog. All right. So when it comes to possessive nouns, right? Remember we said that you need to put the apostrophe to show either who owns something or who has something, right? So in this case, it says the car belongs to my mother, which means that we can say it is my mother's. It is my mother's car. And then the second one is the dog belongs to Tony. It is Tony. Let's remove. Forgot to put capital. It is Tony's. And then even the same on this side, right? Where we need to rewrite. And we're going to rewrite that now. The book belongs to my teacher. It is my teacher's book. So I belong to teacher. It is my teacher book. It is my teacher book. So we can say teacher's book. Guys, remember apostrophe and s to show the possessive, right? Apostrophe and s to show possessive. All right. So yeah, we're going to rewrite the sentence using the possessive nouns. So if you are able to rewrite it, please rewrite it in the chat box. It says the cards belong to Bill. So if the cards belong to Bill, right, then how are we going to write that in the form of possessive? Then we will then say it is Bill's cards. So we will say it is Bill's cards. So it is Bill's. And there you see we have Bill's, which is Bill. So if you can rewrite the sentence, then please do so. So the toys belong to my cousins. So if the toys belong to my cousins, how are we going to write that in the form of possessive? So the toys belong to my cousins. So we can then say it is. All right. So it is my cousin's toys. So who can maybe assist us by rewriting the sentence? The pens belong to Jenna. So if the pens belongs to Jenna, how can we write that sentence over in a form of possessiveness? So the pen belongs to Jenna. How can we rewrite that by showing possessive? So the pens belong to Jenna. So if we say the pen belongs to Jenna, then we can say it is Jenna's pen. All right. So we are basically just going to do that, right? Where we say it is Jenna's pen. Remember that they are, when you add the apostrophe and the s, right, it either shows singular possessive or it shows plural possessive. Once you either say something, write something down without the apostrophe, then it seems as if you are just writing it in a plural form, right? So you need to if the question is asking for possessive, singular possessive or plural possessive, it needs to have an apostrophe. No apostrophe, then we will assume that it is a plural noun. All right. So that is basically the end of our lesson, grade 2, on forming possessive nouns as well as possessive nouns. Thank you very much for joining the class. You should have an amazing evening further. Goodbye.